Good day, ma'am. I am Jessa Padua, BSCRIM 2, Section A, reporting Chapter 4, Victimology. Segment 1, Victimology. Victimology is the scientific study of the physiological. It examines victim patterns and techniques, tendencies, studies how victims interact with the policies and legal system, and analyze how factors of class, race, and sexual orientations affects the perceptions of the victim by different constitutions, including the public, the court system, and media. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, victimology, the study of the ways in which the behavior of crimes victims may have led to contribute to their victimization. Victimology is the scientific study of the victimizations. It includes the relationship between victims and offenders, victims and criminal justice system, and victims and other social group, and institutions such as the media business and social movements. Victimology study victims of crimes and other forms of human rights violence that are not necessarily crime. Victimology is the scientific study of victimizations, including the relationship between victims and offenders, the interaction between victims and criminal justice system, and the connection between victims and other societal groups and institutions such as the media, business, and social movements. From the definition, victimology encompasses the study. So, victimizations is the process of victimize either from physical or normal or sexual point of view. The term victimology is often used in the generic way to identify the study. More specific, the surveys that investigate crime assuming the victims as the main focus. That so first a victimization. With VOM, the relationship of the victim of offender is take a new level. In most cases, it is an offender making amends to make a knowledge to them for a properly crime of minor survivor meeting with the offender who took the life their loved one. Victim criminal justice system relationship. Many victims may choose to not report the crime. As the result, they never come into contact with criminal justice system, the crimes that such victims have experienced. Victims and the media. Victim may feel this is an invention of their privacy, but the media may feel the image is dramatic and homicides this story. Aggressive or intensive reporters or journalists may impact a victim's ability grieve with dignity and their personality safety, inappropriately delving into a victim past. Victims and the cause of crime. Those causes include losses from property theft or damage, cost losses, medical expenses, an amount of pay loss because of injury or activities related to the crime. This crime include in this figure a rape, robbery, assault, personal and household theft, burglary, and motor vehicle theft. F. Victims and social movements. I draw from the social problems, social movements, and resonance as filling roles in the framing of victims by social movements activity. Who is a crime victim? Crime victim generally refers to any person, group, or entirely who was suffered injury or loss due to illegal activity. The harm can be physically, psychological, or economic. Legally victim typical includes the following: A person who has suffered direct to threatened physical, emotional, or pecuniary harm as a result of the commission of a crime, or B. In the case of a victim being the institutional entity and of the same harms by an individual or authorized representative of another entity. History of victimology. The scientific study of victimology can be traced back to the 1940s and 1950s. Two criminologists, Mendelssohn and Hans von Henting, began to explore the field of victimology by creating typologies. Typologies. They are considered the fathers of the study of victimology. Mendelssohn's son was the first to the coin term victimology in 1940. These new victimologists began to study behavior and vulnerabilities of victims such as the resistance of rape victims and characteristics of the types of people who were victims of crime, especially murder victims. Mendelssohn's interview victims to obtain information, and his analysis led him to believe that most victims has had inclusions for being victimized. He created a typology of six types of victims, who only the first type, to innocence, portrayed as just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The other five types all contribute somehow their own injury and representative victim perception. Hans von Hinting studied victims of homicides and said that most likely type of victims and the depressive type, who is an easy target, careless, and unsuspecting. The greed type is easily duped because his or motivations for easy gain lowers her natural tendency to be suspicious. The wanted type is particularly vulnerable to stress that occur in the given period of time in the life cycle, such as juvenile victims. The terminator is the victim of an attack from the target of his or her abuse, such as with battered woman. Victimology versus criminology. Victimology focuses on helping victims heal after a crime, while criminology aims to understand the criminal motives and the underlying cause of crime. Criminologists look at every conceivable aspect of deviant behavior. This includes the impact of crime themselves according to the balance. Criminology study elements that frequency, locations, causes, and types of crime, then work to develop effective and human means of preventing it. Victimologists are concerned with the foresting recovery, while criminology seeks prevention. Criminology seeks to understand the social impact of crime. Victimity and victimizer. Victimity refers the state, quality, or fact of being a victim, while victimizer refers to a person who victimizes others. Others. Theories of victimology of victimization. A first generation early victimologists. First generation scholarly work in victimology purpose victim typologies based on the offender victim died in a criminal act. Common to the ideas of these early victimologists was that each classified victim in regard to the degree to which they had caused their own victimization. These early theoretical reflections passed the bounding field of victimology in the directions that eventually lead to reformations of the definition of victimology. Victimization. Victimization was